We've been talking about a lot of the broad challenges facing the region, whether that be AI, as we just heard about, or the moral imperative of decarbonization, of course, the near-term threat of securing enough energy with the Iran war. But I'm very excited today to now dive into some of the nitty-gritty solutions to those challenges with these three founders here, who've been rolling up their sleeves to pioneer new technologies as those solutions. So let's kick it off by having each of the panelists here just give a really brief 1-minute overview of your startups. Little elevator pitch. We'll start with Mong and we'll go down the line.
Okay. Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. So pleasure to be here. So my name is Mongkhol. You can call me Mong. So we are the geothermal technology company based in Bangkok, Thailand. And what we develop is the advanced closed loop geothermal system, which is, the new technology for the geothermal. So everyone think that, geothermal is probably have to be only in the area of the zone of ring of fire area, right? For example, like the Indonesia, Philippines, and Japan. But how about in Singapore and Vietnam and Thailand? People think that we cannot develop the geothermal. That's why our technology, developed to provide the be able to develop the geothermal in anywhere. So and we are developing the technology in Thailand and try to the cooperate with the customer in Thailand, for example, like data center, semiconductor, and the industrial park in Thailand, which is going very good right now because the demand of electricity, especially clean electricity, going rapidly, especially in Thailand. So, yeah, so that
Great,
would be...
fantastic. We'll come back to the demand in just a second. We're going to keep it to 1 minute.
Okay.
Tulika, over to you.
Hi, everyone. I'm Tulika Raj, CEO and co-founder of SunGreen. Simply put, SunGreen makes electrodes and stacks that are free of platinum and rare earth materials. So think of us as picks and shovels, or rather the Intel Inside of the electrochemical industries. I look forward to discussing more in this panel.
Fantastic. Over to Zhaotan.
And I'm Zhaotan, CEO, co-founder of Meta 8. We turn methanol, a liquid feedstock, into electricity, into decarbonized power. This is probably the most economic and cleanest form of electricity from a liquid hydrocarbon. And the way we do it is that we don't burn the methanol. We are cracking the methanol back into CO2 and hydrogen. The hydrogen is used for power generation. The CO2, what we want to do in the long term is to bring it back to make more methanol, thus closing the loop. This is a way to achieve energy circularity.
Fantastic. So I actually am from Silicon Valley and have parents who started their own small tech startups. So I have a lot of appreciation for the effort it takes to actually get an idea off the ground. And, I always joke that it makes journalism look like a low-stress industry. So I wanted to ask each of you to talk about the key enabling factors that have allowed you to scale up so far. I know you're at different phases of your journeys, but if we could maybe start with Zhaotan and then work our way back, talking about those factors, whether it's policy or partnerships.
Absolutely. So at Meta 8, so my co-founder was the previous head of R&D for Aramco from the oil industry. And we firmly believe that the energy transition needs to be an affordable transition. It needs to be an incremental transition. We need to be using existing assets and infrastructure as much as possible. So as we enter the era of electrochemistry, there is now an opportunity for us to achieve things that previously we couldn't, right, in the combustion era, right? So as we move beyond combustion into electrochemistry, how do we utilize some of the existing assets that we have used in this current era for the next for the next phase, right? So one of the things that we really believe in is that the fuel needs to be liquid. It can't be hydrogen gas. I think after all these decades, we have come to realize that moving hydrogen in its current form is too complicated. So if we are using methanol, that's the simplest liquid carbon fuel. that means we can use the ships, we can reutilize the tanks, the tankers, the trucks, and everyone can get involved. The existing big players can get involved in electrification.
So using the existing assets
Correct.
to bring them into the new era. Fantastic. And Tulika, key enabling factors for you so far?
Yeah, I think so. We are past the technology validation phase. So I won't talk about the efficiency and the durability that we achieve, but for us, it's really been about monetizing the model, right? So we have four ways we make money from the same electrode manufacturing platform. We sell electrodes in stacks. We also supply our stacks into other manufacturers' systems under their own brand. We toll manufacture other people's catalysts into nano-fused electrodes. And ultimately, we also look at licensing. So for us, this capital light model, which doesn't entirely rely on a manufacturing-driven approach, has ultimately allowed us to both de-risk and start scaling up the technology.
And Mong, I know you spoke a little bit about policy in Thailand. I wonder if you could speak about that and whether it's enabling your business growth.
Yeah, probably the good chance right now because the Thailand increased we have big dream that about the green energy for the country. I think right now the government set up about 60 to 70 portion of the energy demand have to be replaced by renewable energy, which is so. And also you have the geopolitical tension, in Middle East, which we import a lot of the oil and gas, So if we have we can stay produce the electricity, in the country, especially from the ground, which is that could be the really good opportunity for any, not only me, only startup, So that's what I mean. The government really support on this one.
I want to go back to that question of import dependence in a little while, but first I wanted to really dive into kind of the key challenge, I think, for most startups, which is, of course, fundraising. We heard in the last panel about extra patient capital, and I'm curious if you all have been able to connect with investors who understand the time horizon that you need to get your technologies off the ground and what that looks like in this region in particular. Tulika, maybe you could start.
Sure. I mean, we spend a lot of time thinking about scale, right? We already have investments up to the tune of 10 million Singapore dollars, and we have set up our first facility, which can do those first few thousands of electrodes. Beyond that, we really are, and we're able to triple that, right, on a shift pattern alone. But beyond that, we look at, and we are currently evaluating setting up 10x scaled up manufacturing, let's say, for our electrodes right here from our home base of Singapore in a close by manufacturing location. That would probably get us to the tens of thousands of meter squares of electrodes capacity, which roughly put in industry terms means we can supply a few hundreds of megawatts of projects. Beyond that, we don't really look at manufacturing to gigawatt. For us, the model is to license. We are following the Denora model. The electrode industry has for 50 years been licensing and generating royalties. So we are not betting the company on outbuilding China. We are rather betting the company on out-licensing them right here from our Singapore base with manufacturing next door.
And Zhaotan, I know you won a big award recently, if you could talk about that.
Yeah, so we only started the company last year, although the founders are all quite experienced. And we had an interesting start by being the winner of the Livability Challenge this year. This is an annual decarbonization competition by Temasek Foundation. So we won a few $1 million to start the company and to build a prototype in A-star. It is very exciting. We are very honored to win it because it's 1,500 applications around the world. And I believe we won it because people appreciate that we need to be catalyzing the entire ecosystem to move. And our solution is that missing piece to bring the oil players into electrification. If you put yourself in the shoes of the oil industry, it's completely missing out on electrification. Oil has nothing to do with electrification. Oil is for transportation. Our technology enables these e-fuels projects in the big oil companies to get involved and be producing electricity at the same efficiency as LNG CCGT. This is a no-brainer for all the oil guys to get involved. And it's all about moving liquids around, right? Moving liquid methanol and then moving liquid CO2 back to make methanol again, right? So we think this is a viable pathway for the big boys to get involved and achieve energy circularity, which is also energy security. There's so much potential in Southeast Asia to make biomethanol. By the way, all this biomass waste should be turned into biomethanol. Yeah.
And so do you think that will look like more strategic partnerships going forward, or how would you get involved with the traditional players?
Absolutely. So we're having conversations with the national oil companies in the region, Malaysia, Indonesia, and it's very clear that these guys are going into biomethanol productions. These were decisions that they made prior to the Iran war. Now, after the war, this is a no-brainer. We should be doing 10 times, 100 times more of this. And our pitch to the CEOs is very simple, right? Whatever methanol you're producing, please don't burn them. Instead, if you give it to us, we can extract 2 times more electricity out of that than burning. This is the future, right? There's an opportunity. There's a real opportunity to catalyze this whole ecosystem to move. So I think this is what we're working with. So once, and if you think about it, if we're in Malaysia or Indonesia, right, and we're working with these big players, they are making the methanol. They own the EV charging stations. They own the assets. They own the trucks. They own probably the methanol production, the e-methanol loop as well. So our job is actually just to catalyze and get this whole infrastructure going. And then we will figure out other ways to monetize our technology.
And I think, Zhaotan, if I may jump in, what you're really referring to is that mutual commitment that comes with these deep strategic partnerships, right? We think of it pretty much the same way as well, Lili. For us, what we see is that when we're entrusted with someone's catalyst formulation under NDA, or if we're supplying our stacks into another manufacturer's system, these are mutual commitments for long-term partnership and success. We are really looking at supporting the partner in the sense that we are bringing something to the table that they may not be able to source elsewhere, critical mineral-free supply chain, for example. That efficiency and durability that our electrodes and stacks allow them to achieve. But at the same time, they're bringing that pathway to the market, that route to market, as well as that volume.
Right.
And we really think of them as partners, strategic partners, as partners for the journey, because ultimately it's not just about offtake. It's really about bringing together that long-term vision.
Right. Mong, I want to come to you, but first I want to inject a statistic here to just kind of lay out the challenges that climate startups writ large are facing, and these 3 are navigating them quite well. But there was a stat that I saw that last year was the 6-year low for climate investment in tech startups in Southeast Asia. And so I'm curious, Mong, in Thailand, have you been able to find partners that you feel like can help you get to that next stage of growth despite that discouraging stat?
Yeah, it's quite difficult. I mean, come back to your question, like the most challenge to me, I think the climate tech is not the inventing technology, I think it's the finance to the commercial, the first scale. I mean, the first commercial scale, which is the climate tech is not like the software businesses, right? So you have a couple guys working in your house and do some coding, but the many climate technology you need the demonstrate at the infrastructure, which is for example like hydrogen, like geothermal or the nuclear power plant, thing like that. So you may require 10 to 100 million dollar to be able to start with their pilot project, which is it's quite difficult. This is I mean, in Thailand, is we still new for the climate funding for the climate tech, because most of the capital venture that they would like to invest in the AI and things like that. So we're still in the early stage for us.
Right. Well, I wanted to do a quick lightning round as we get to the end here. We have talked about the Iran war a little bit, but in terms of new opportunities for climate tech in the region, if we could just go from Zhaotan down the line, whether you think that the Iran war is bringing tailwind or headwind for climate tech in this region? Do you see new opportunities?
Yeah. Well, for our technology specifically, it's a lot about sustainability, but as well it is about energy security and independence, right? If we are able to achieve circularity, for example, regional circularity within Southeast Asia, there is a real opportunity to catch this. We are now moving in, I mentioned before, we're now moving into the era of electrochemistry. The analogy is like light. If light is what you want, you don't need to heat up a piece of wire till it glows anymore, right? If electricity is what you want, there's no need to do burning. You don't need to combust anymore. Electrochemistry allows us to produce electricity at a much higher efficiency. So that's how we achieve price competitiveness and much cleaner energy. So this is the real opportunity. We are excited about our technology precisely because it can be price competitive with incumbents, cheaper and cleaner. It is possible, right?
Okay, so you're optimistic.
Yes, yes.
Tulika, you want to go?
Likewise, I would say that we serve the electrochemical industries. The material platform that we are using is today addressing electrolyzers, but also addresses CO2 reduction, fuel cells, advanced batteries, and water treatment, to name a few. And I think for all of these industries, what's being represented by the Iran war is actually a headwind where it's not just about energy transition, right? It's really about the secure and resilient energy security argument that we all need to address. And for individual nations, this means different things, but ultimately supply chains being critically dependent on single nations for critical minerals, rare earths, platinum, that's the pain point that we're here to resolve. And we feel, if anything, the geopolitical situation and the macroeconomic conditions have, in fact, given us a headwind, as opposed to anything else at the moment. Yeah.
And Mong, you already referenced some new energy coming from the kind of shifting politics around the war. Is that what you're seeing in Thailand?
Yeah, I mean, definitely, because we rely on import, a lot more than 80%. So if we can build, from the ground, like our technology, or even from, the biomass, in the country, that will be, we can stand on our own. We don't need to rely on the imports, but that could be the good opportunity for us.
Well, as we get to the end of our panel here, I want to make sure we get an opportunity to take any questions from the crowd. So please do send in your questions via the app, and I'll be sure to get to them. But just going back to the question of China, because Tulika, you brought it up, and I cover China as a reporter, so it's always on my mind. When we talk about clean tech, we obviously have the 800-pound gorilla in the region as China surging its exports during the war now. And it sounds like your thinking is that you're licensing and therefore you're not competing head-to-head on manufacturing. But if you could say a bit more about how you think about the emerging green hydrogen power that is China, and then we'll go down the line again.
Yeah, I mean, our views on the industry are this, right? Essentially, so far what we're seeing is a critical correction in the industry, if I may say so. And we welcome that. And it's actually the best thing that's happened to us. The reason is the industry has built, let's call it 25 gigawatts of undifferentiated capacity that is sitting at 15% utilization right now. And what's stalling projects is levelized cost of hydrogen at the end of the day. So in that market environment, the only thing that is really valued is efficiency, which is what we sell, right? That's what the electrodes do. So the way we really see it is that there is an increasing demand for lower cost hydrogen. So in a sense, we're not really facing buffeting headwinds against, let's say, hydrogen demand. It's more about levelized cost of hydrogen, which is exactly where we play. And thinking even about China as an industry, even beyond green hydrogen, right? The way we think about our tech in this scenario is that we're working with 3 layers, essentially. The first layer is a patent, right? Which is IP protection around what can be seen inside our product. What is visible is the material composition, the stack designs. We keep trade secret what is not visible inside the product. So what our engineers will tell you is the hardest bit, fusing nanostructures intact onto electrodes. And we're compounding that, right? With the qualification lead in terms of field hours and commercial deployments, we have put our electrodes and stacks now into megawatt scale installations, proving that point about efficiency, not at lab scale, but at commercial scale. All of this starts to compound, and we believe is a moat that we're working with when we address this specific issue in China.
Fantastic. Well, I just want to do a very quick final round here where we do maximum 3 words about what you feel you need to scale up next. So I know it's a big challenge, but whether it's funding, government policy shift, strategic partner, perhaps we could start at the end and work our way back. Zhaotan, 3 words.
Capital, partners, scale. Yeah.
Okay.
For the company, I'll put it as licensing partnerships. We're excited to bring the first of those online in addition to our sales. For the sector, I would say it would be great to see policy that actually rewards the lowest cost molecule than the most highly subsidized one. That would be a really great market structure change we'd like to see.
Fantastic, Mom.
Yeah, I would like to say because of financing is a very big problem for infrastructure. I would call now we have the first of the kind technology financial gap. If we have the effective mechanism, that public can help take the first of the kind technical risk, and the private can help to finance the next of the kind for scale up. That would be good for support for the startup, especially climate tech.
Well, as our last panelist said, survival is everything. So we wish you all luck, and please join me in thanking our panelists.
All right.
Thank you.